To get started with sleeping in the library, you'll want to download the starter project for the app. The download link is posted in the instructor notes. The UI is already built for this app, so we can focus on just the networking aspects. If we run the app, we have a title label at the top, and then we have a button at the bottom that'll grab a new image from Flickr. Right now, if we tap the button, it just disables the UI and it waits for an image to be loaded from Flickr. Back in our storyboard, we can see that there's an image view for our image, as well as a label, this photo title label, that we can use to display any text associated with the image. Then in the viewcontroller.swift file, we have a single action, grab new image, that's called when the button is pressed. In the action, we disable the UI so that we can't ask for a new image while waiting for another image to load, and then we call the getImageFromFlickr method. This is where we'll start writing our networking code. First, we'll create the NS URL. We can do this directly just by copying the URL like we saw in the API Explorer. But from a design standpoint, something doesn't really feel right about this. It's not very maintainable. What if the names for the arguments change, or we want to change the URL to use different arguments? It'd be much better if we broke this URL into pieces. The good news is we're going to help you out a little bit. If you've been poking around, you may have noticed that we've created a separate Swift file, constants.swift, where we've defined all the constants for doing just that, breaking the URL into pieces. Here in this file, there are structs that contain constants for the different parameter keys and values that we want to use in our URL. So what's with the static keyword? And also, what are these structs that are contained within the constant struct? First, the static keyword, it's similar to the class keyword, and what it's doing here is it's saying this method property, it doesn't belong to Flickr parameter keys struct instances, but instead it belongs to the whole struct itself. Now, that may sound a little confusing, but the benefit of this approach is that we can refer to these constant values using a really nice dot notation, and it's very intuitive. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And this is also going to help explain the structs within structs that we saw in the constants file. So if we want to specify the method, let me make sure which one that is. So Flickr parameter keys and then the method value, we can do this. And just like that, we're referring to a constant in this very nice dot notation that kind of goes left to right, and it reads in a very intuitive way. Similarly, we could specify the API key by going constants, Flickr, it's in Flickr, I think, values, parameter values, here we go, API key, like so. And because each of these properties, the method and the API key, are declared as static, we never have to make instance of the constant struct to use them. Now, you don't have to do it this way, but we've chosen it because it's a nice way to maintain all the constant values in one place where we can easily change them. Now back in the view controller, we can use these constants to build the URL. And I'll add a print statement for good measure. So let's build and run and test if our URL is what we want. And this is not bad. You'll notice that in the API key argument here, I have the your API key value. You want to substitute your API key in there. But I think we can do a lot better than this. This might be harder to see than the first one was. I propose that we optimize the building of our URL by creating a method that formats all the arguments. And this will be more reusable, obviously, and it'll also give us an opportunity to escape any of the characters and the arguments that might include unsafe ASCII characters. Let's do this next.